Yes, we are live. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of Toast the Toss. Today, we've got a new panelist, starting with a new panelist, Sidharth Shah, who is dialing in from midst of nature. Welcome to Sidharth. Some of us are envious because we are at home, but we are happy that you are in nature and you get to have fun. Our second panelist is Bidhu, who's dialing in from Delhi. That new style of his continues. I think it's going to continue till the World Cup ends. And third panelist is Tejas, who with so much love he has for the show that he carried his laptop all the way to Mysore and he is dialing in from Mysore. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to episode 16. All right, quickly, this today what you're going to do is something different from what we did previously. So today we're going to review each of your top three games. I know each of you have picked your top three games. We're going to review each of those and give our comments. So let's start with your top game for last week, starting with Bidhu. What would be your top game for last week?
So I have just picked top game India-Pakistan, not basically for cricketing reasons because we were completely outplayed, but because of the gap that has been happening. It seems like India played ages ago. Pakistan has played two more games. For India, a lot has been happening in social media. Much of it is nonsense. But what it has done is it has taken our focus out of cricket. And hence, I will be just talking about cricket, which India requires because they are coming up against New Zealand, which is most probably a quarterfinal in a sense. Because if they don't win today, forget about our fans. The commercial people is going to really scramble for the media rights and the TV ads. So I think I'll start with the batting side. India in the power play, we have seen the last 2 to 3 years, if someone breaks into the top order of India, India completely is on the back foot, and that really hinders their approach. And we see the end is not good because batsmen spend much of the time and effort in consolidating the innings, and we miss out on the extra 20 runs or 25 runs, which is very crucial in conditions like this, when we know that Dew is going to take a huge chunk from their bowlers, especially the spinners, which happened with Varun Chakravarti. He was not able to grip the ball. He was not able to spin the ball. And hence, the batting is a cause of concern if they lose the top order soon. The focus point is Hardik Pandya because he is the pivot between the top order and the middle order. The likes of Pant, Pandya and Jadeja have to take the ownership of giving those 15-20 extra runs in the 18, 19, 20th overs. And we saw it did not happen with Pandya. Pant did consolidate the innings, but he could not close it down. And even Jadeja could not score those quick fire runs. And so batting wise, India has to ensure that one of the top three has to play till the 15-16 over to give a good foundation. And hopefully they do it against New Zealand. Moving on to the bowling side, India is struggling with the sixth bowler. Again, the buck stops at Hardik Pandya. Is he going to bowl? Why is he picked in the team as a pure batter or someone who is an all-rounder? You can try Kohli as many times as possible in the practice games, but when it is important matches like these, he is not going to give you those extra 1-2 overs. And the necessity of a sixth bowler is two reasons. One is it allows Kohli to strategically use the premier bowlers, either depending upon the matchups or based on the match situation. But what he was doing against Pakistan, he was just ensuring that he judiciously uses 4 overs of every bowler so that till the 20th over, the premier bowlers are there to bowl the 19th and 20th over. You see the other teams, the teams who have been doing well in this World Cup, be it Australia, Maxwell is giving them overs. For South Africa, Markram is bowling. He opened the bowling in the last match for South Africa. England has the luxury of Moeen Ali and Liam Livingstone. Livingstone is among the wickets in both the games that England has played. So India actually has to figure out a way how to get that sixth bowler. I think Hardik Pandya will retain his place today against England and New Zealand. But going forward, if he is not going to bowl, he has to communicate it clearly. And against the matches against Namibia and Scotland, we have to figure out whether to include a Shardul Thakur or an Ashwin and have that option available. Coming to Pakistan, I think the Pakistan fans would be absolutely delighted with that win. A huge monkey of their back. They have not been able to defeat India in World Cups. But just for this particular tournament, what had happened for Pakistan, the teams not going to Pakistan, the fans getting upset. There was huge uproar in the Pakistan Cricket Board. I think all these things put together have motivated them to do well in the tournament. And they are bringing the rich experience of PSL, which was happening in UAE. And you can see when the Pakistan batting comes to the fore, they can challenge any team, let alone India. For India, the openers did really well. But in the subsequent games, we saw that the middle order is in form, and they have a very, very good finisher in Asif Ali. So going forward, I think whoever comes against Pakistan is going to have a tough time and see where they land up.
Yeah, I mean, they are the team to beat, yeah. But just going back to the game, I thought those two balls from Shaheen Shah Afridi were magical, unplayable. I know Rohit and Rahul were class players, but I thought those two were amazing deliveries. And then I think their bowlers, they tied and they didn't give up. It's not like they only have one hero. Their supporting cast was also equally good. Haris Rauf, Imad Wasim, Mohammad Hafiz, Shadab Khan, everybody bowled really, really well, which is why it kind of became difficult for India to kind of score higher. And it seemed like when Indian bowlers bowled, our bowlers probably did not get the length right, and we were carted around. But yeah, I mean, that was one of those wake-up calls, which kind of laid the foundation for how good Pakistan was. And then I'm sure we've seen it. I'm sure we're going to talk about some more of Pakistan games. Moving to Sid. Sid, can you hear us?
Yes, I can
So
hear
what's your which game did you pick as your top game for last week?
My top game for last week was Afghanistan versus Pakistan. Absolutely a nail biter. So we saw and heard what Bidhu mentioned. We all saw as Indians, India versus Pakistan, how we were bamboozled by the Pakistani team. Something similar was going to happen for Afghanistan until 18th over, where in the second innings, where Pakistan were gonna taste some loss until Asif Ali came, smacked those 4 sixes, and just sealed it for Pakistan. That was one of the interesting games which I noticed, because Afghanistan in the previous match had just stormed out, for Scotland, even in the batting department or the bowling department. They just did not allow Scotland to score. But against Pakistan, it was getting quite nail biting, and I must say Asif Ali held his nerves. Partially, I would also like to mention that it was also about the last bowler, which is Karim Janat. Pretty inexperienced, but that's how it happened. So he got the chance to bowl the last over, and the deliveries were a little simpler, but not to take away credits from Asif. And also, as Bidhu mentioned, Pakistani team has amazing bowlers. We have heard about Shaheen Afridi, but other bowlers also stepped up a lot. So kudos to them. But yeah, just want to mention that Afghanistan team isn't far away because of Rashid and Mujib. I think Sehwag had also mentioned 8 overs of Mujib and Rashid. Welcome to cricket. So yeah, that's been my top game for the last week.
Yeah, I mean that's another wonderful game, right? Like Afghanistan outplayed in the first 10 overs of their batting, and then build up from Mohammad Nabi and Gulbuddin Naib, which took them to a respectable score. They were in the game till the 18th over. Fabulous bowling from Naveen, Ul Haq, Rashid, of course, Mujib, Nabi. Just that one over, and my God, it was almost like .6, and then 2 more sixes. Asif Ali is in a different. It does seem like he's playing on a different pitch. He's on a different confidence. It's one of those finishers which I think every team would be envious of, because I don't think any other team in this tournament has a finisher like Asif Ali. But yeah, a fabulous game. Moving on to Tejas, what's your top pick for last week?
The topic for last week, the game happened yesterday. It was between Sri Lanka and South Africa. Cricketing-wise, the quality-wise was indeed really good. The likes of Markram stepping up, and we've I think, I don't know whether it is underrated, but the bowling attack of South Africa, it's quite good. With the likes of Shamshi, and of course, both Narkia and Bada, right? They're one of the most brutal combination going around in T20 cricket these times. it was also the top game for me because both teams have gone through a lot for the last 18, 20 months. Sri Lanka, for the cricketing reasons, small island, not a lot of quality cricketers coming in from the domestic structure. They've been reeling from the loss of Sangakkara and Jayawardene for years now. They've not been the same team over the years, but to see the likes of Bhanuka Rajapaksa, Pathum Nisanka, Charita Solanka, Chamika, Karunaratne, these guys, they've brought in the fresh energy, and you could see that they were fighting till the end. And for Sri Lanka, I think for South Africa, I think they've been battling the same, same war, or rather, fighting the same war for 60, 70 years now, with huge controversies happening about the running of the country itself, and then it has processed into the cricketing board as well. For them to have this winning streak, I think they've won around 10 out of last 12 T20 internationals they've played.
Again,
flown
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They've flown under the radar. They had a terrific series against the West Indies in West Indies. They've had decent bowling attack. They have really good batters like Rasim and Reese Hendricks is good. When QDK comes into the form, I think he's as good as anyone can be. So these two teams put up a show yesterday, and actually I was at the edge of the seat when Hasaranga was bowling against Rabada, and they took the review for the fourth wicket and fourth ball, and it just missed pitched outside leg stump, and then Rabada hits a six at the end to win them the match. So it's just incredible to see these two teams who have gone through a lot to come up and put up a show in a World Cup where it matters. It really made me feel a little better, because a couple of days have not been all that good for people in Karnataka. So just as a distraction, I think what they put up over there in the T20 World Cup, it just melted my hand. So kudos to both teams.
Yeah, that was a great game. Just adding to what you're saying, Dwayne Pretorius bowling fabulous. He adds to, of course, the Rabada, the Nokia. Samsi again, he's continuing his wicket-taking streak. Even Maharaj kind of is a containing bowler, but he's still doing the job.
Great job, yeah.
And of course, Miller with those 2 sixes. There was a time when it did seem like South Africa were out of the game. Then Themba Bavuma did a nice, batting effort with Markram. And then when they seemed like they were going to steal it, they both get out. And then, the Hasaranga's hat-trick happens. Yesterday's game had pretty much everything which, you could ask for. It had the ebbs and the flows and the final over showdown. But before we move on, of course, a heart goes out to Puneet Rajkumar. Somebody who I personally really looked up to from a fitness perspective, because he also supported cyclists and all the initiatives which he did. It's difficult for me to believe, but I think it's one of those where he'll always remain in our hearts. And it's a loss which is difficult to describe in words, but I just wanted to put it out that he will remain in our hearts, and he will, he'll be the evergreen Appu, as we all know. Okay, moving on to the second game of the week. What's your second pick, Bidhu?
So I would pick one of the matches from the group of death. I don't remember whether it's group 1 or 2, but it's certainly group of death. I think Bangladesh have...
Group one.
Yes. So Bangladesh, I think, are more or less out of this World Cup. And West Indies are just about managing to keep their ship sailing. But I think Australia has done well with 2 wins in that group. So the next match is Australia and Sri Lanka, which I choose. And the biggest positive from that game for Australia was the opening partnership of Finch and Warner, particularly the form of Warner. Because when Warner comes into runs, it gives a completely new look to Australia, because he not only scores well in the power play, but he's also a player who would hit the spinners well. So you could see him playing the horizontal bat shots, the reverse sweeps against the spinners of Sri Lanka, and it showed how confident he is about his own form. And the other factor which aids Australia when Warner is batting is the other batters like Smith, Maxwell, Stoinis, all right-handers. They can actually come in and keep the left-right combination going till a certain weight comes in at number 7. Bowling wise, again, Australia looked very stable. Maxwell bowling couple of overs up front gives Finch the option of having the pacers who can come in the middle to support Adam Zampa. Adam Zampa played his role really well. I think he was economical. And Patrick Cummins, again, is the pick of the three bowlers. He is the go-to bowler in the middle overs as well as the end overs. Smith also played the anchor role. Steven Smith, in these conditions, when you are chasing scores like 150, 160, is a very, very effective player. He just keeps occupying one side of it and the other batters play around him. So I think Australia had a complete game in terms of batting, bowling, and fielding. On the other hand, Sri Lanka had a tough game against Australia. And given what happened against South Africa, I think they would have. I think Sri Lanka is also looking to go out of this World Cup. Because it is increasingly becoming an Australia, South Africa, and England thing of who is going to take the top two position. The only thing that I noticed about Sri Lanka was Lahiru Kumara, who was hitting a pace of 140, 148, but he went for runs. And if you are bowling at that pace, if line and length is not your strength, you would obviously go for runs. So till the Sri Lanka game, Australia are looking a very formidable side. But once I come to the next game against England, I will talk about the worms that Australia have in that team.
Yeah. I mean, that game for me, the biggest thing was Warner coming back to form, which I thought Australia was going to feel very happy about. Okay, moving on to Sidharth. What's your second game for the week?
Just stealing what Bidhu mentioned. Sri Lanka is there in Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka. One of the first matches after the group stages. Again, there was some amount of tension over there in that particular game. Just looking at it from the ending perspective, they were going to lose. Sri Lanka were going to lose until Asalanka and Bhanuka came in and just snatched the victory from Bangladesh's hand. That match also started with a fight, something which we have seen between. It's very similar to Kamran Akmal versus Gautam Gambhir. That particular day, Litan Das and Lahiru Kumar were fighting. They were separated out. Again, not to steal it away from cricket, but there were a lot of different elements that came into picture. They were, I think, 79 for 4 Sri Lanka, and then they had to score about 100 runs in those 10 odd overs, and it just came in. Not many famous, notable batsmen out there, but still they came in. They just stole the show away from Bangladesh. Also, like the factor. I mean, I was also looking to see how Bangladesh would perform without Tamim Iqbal. I know he withdrew from playing for the match, the World Cup itself. He wanted to give others a chance. He was also not fit. That's what he mentioned. But yeah, it was also good to see other players come in and take over from that show. Yeah.
I mean, that game I loved, though. I mean, that was in my pick as well, because down and out, underdog story, underdog victories definitely always gets us excited. Yeah, very, very excited. Like what Tejas mentioned, right? Very excited to see some of the talent which is coming from Sri Lanka. I mean, there is no Niroshan Dekwela, Chandimal, Matthews, nobody, and these are unknown names, and they are taking the opportunity with both hands, and then they're doing whatever they can. It's not like Sri Lanka is being outplayed. They are giving the other teams a run for their money, and they pretty much killed Bangladesh that day, right? Most people thought Bangladesh was going to win, and they snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Great game. Okay, moving to Tejas. What's your second pick?
My second pick is the game which confirmed us that Pakistan are one of the favorites to win this whole tournament. It is New Zealand against Pakistan. New Zealand are a team, as we have seen and we've experienced for the last 18 years in ICC tournaments against them. They're a very lucky kind of a team who will never give up. In close games, they tend to unite themselves and put up a best show possible, and they're very determined side. You see that when the game is going a little away, then they'll come up with an incredible catch and then pull the game back again. That's what happened with Devon Conway, right? He pulled off that probably catch of the tournament till now. So this is what happens with New Zealand. The more you push them away, they come back stronger. And to win against a New Zealand side which has real quality going for them, whether it be it one-day cricket, Test cricket, or even T20s, right? They're a solid unit, and against them, and when they're tested and their middle order showed up, Pakistan middle order showed up, that really told me that they're firm favorites to at least reach to the finals of this World Cup. So my second game of the week has to be Pakistan versus New Zealand, which has confirmed me that Pakistan in these conditions probably have the best team going forward.
Yeah. I mean that game. Yeah, I mean it almost showed like their top three is solid: Babar, Rizwan, and Fakhar Zaman. And then they have two really good experienced veterans in the middle order, and they have a sixth batsman who has the power hitting. I mean, I agree that against Afghanistan it was Karim Janat, probably not a recognized international bowler, but Asif Ali was smashing Tim Southee, right? And Tim Southee is a proper international bowler, so it requires a lot of skill to kind of do that. Yeah, I would agree to you that game kind of sealed to me as well that Pakistan they seem to be the top favorite, the team to beat. Okay, now coming to the third round, Bidhu, coming back to you, what's your third game for the week?
Yeah, before I pick the third game, just from your conversation about Team Saudi, I think Adam Milne has arrived in UAE and is quarantined also. So we might just see him playing against India in place of Team Saudi. So we better watch out.
Oh, damn, I missed this because I was happy Lockie Ferguson was injured. Okay.
Yeah. So the final game which I chose is again involving Australia, because they are one team who looked completely formidable on one day and completely pedestal after a couple of days. I'm talking about Australia and England. The win against Australia actually blindsided Australia of a couple of things. The reason they could bring in Ashton Agar in place of Mitchell Marsh is because of the confidence they showed in David Warner. They thought he is back into form and they could actually take Mitchell Marsh out of the team and in place of him put a bowling all-rounder. But against England, they lost early wickets, and which in turn meant Smith is at number 3. Now, if you have observed Australian matches, Mitchell Marsh came in at number 3 against one team. Maxwell was at number 3 in the next game, and yesterday Smith was there. Now, as soon as you ask Smith to play the role of an enforcer within the power play, he struggles. He struggles badly. You saw it when he was captaining Rajasthan Royals. He was always getting dismissed within the power play, trying to hit the cross-batted strokes and getting caught at the inner boundary. And that's exactly the story that repeated again. He can play the role of an anchor if the other batsman is going gung-ho, but he cannot play the role of an enforcer. At least till now, he has shown he's not that capable of doing it. On the bowling side, I would have preferred to see Ashton Agar and Adam Zampa introduced earlier, because when you are defending a total of 125 to 130 and you have batters like Roy, Butler who prefer pace bowling, you should have gone on with your slower bowlers. But then, the way Butler was batting, I don't think it would have made much of a difference, but they could have tried out, because that's the reason why Ashton Agar was picked in the first place. On the English team, I think they are anyways the front runners of this World Cup, primarily because of the dynamic way they approach this version of the game. They just go there with number 1 to number 11, hitting it out of the park. They bat till number 11. Mark Wood comes in at 10, 11. Chris Wokes bats. I think somewhere I had mentioned that Wokes is to Stokes what Dravid was to Sachin. One is more celebrated, but both are equally effective. And you saw what Wokes did. He picked up crucial wickets up front, and there was a brilliant catch of Smith in the inner ring. And he can bat too if required. So England are looking strong, but Australia, it has opened a can of worms again for Australia. For some reasons, Australia do not take to T20 as fish to water. They are a formidable team, mind you. I mean, at least 5 of them go into the IPL teams as the first choice. But overall, if you see the entire team, they somehow feel a notch below the top teams, be it England or India. Maybe because they have 5 test regulars in the team, but the exact reason is not sure. But let's see if they can qualify, because South Africa is looking strong with the likes of Miller coming into form and it's a strong team, South Africa. So Australia have to keep on winning in the next big games.
I think maybe one of the reason for Australia not doing well is they hardly play with the top players in T20s. Generally, in their home season, once the test matches are over and then one days are over, the main players are given a rest, and the newcomers just form a team of 11 and they play. You hardly have seen the likes of Hazelwood come in and start playing together in a T20 international. That all of these things does matter, I feel. You have to play 10, 15 international games before drafting a World Cup squad, or else it will be difficult. I think that is also a point of problem for us as well, India, right? We hardly play as a team. And we've seen in the first match, there was a little bit of a confusion about the role that everyone is playing. They just imagine themselves in an IPL team and they're trying to play the same role, but I don't think that works. Maybe I'm wrong, but this I feel is one of the reasons why Australia have not been a force in T20 international.
No, I think what Tejas has mentioned is absolutely true. In IPL, I think all the batters, Kohli, KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma play an equal role for the respective franchises. And in the bowling, you see Bumrah, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Mohammad Sami playing the same role. And once everyone is put together, they don't know who is to play what role. So a very, very good point, Tejas.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Sidharth's phone might die. So before his phone dies, so let's get your second game of the week, Sidharth.
So I'm on 6% or 5% battery right now. Something very similar to what Scotland did. They lacked power. They lacked the battery against Afghanistan. Afghanistan versus Scotland was my third favorite game only because of the power it showed for Afghanistan. It bamboozled Scotland in both the departments. We saw all the amazing power hitters, Nabi, Zazai. I think it's also all the amazing power hitters. Afghanistan team power packed. It was a treat to watch them hit the ball out of the park. I was waiting for Scotland to do something similar, just assuming the pitch would be batsman friendly. But then came in Mujib and then our own Rashid, probably somebody who might take citizenship in India. That's what we might expect someday. But yeah, that was my third most favorite game, only because of the sheer power of Afghanistan it showed.
Yeah, I mean, it was in Sharjah, and I was watching the highlights, and I'm like, my God, that was, and for people who are watching IPL, Sharjah was a ground which was low scoring, and suddenly for Afghanistan, everybody smacked, from Ahmad Shehzad to Zazai to Gulbadin to everybody. I mean, it's almost like everybody came and proper shots. It wasn't, and I mean, like it was hitting the middle of the bat, great power, great shots. That was one game where I was like, Afghanistan are not pushovers in this World Cup. It takes a good team to beat Afghanistan. So, Afghanistan is another team we need to watch out for. So exciting to see their game. Moving to Tejas, your third game for the week.
Sorry, just another point I remember about the wicket keeper, Shehzad. His dive catch was amazing as well. I think a lot of people commented about that thing. What was that? So yeah, that was another thing. I mean, they're not just batting or bowling amazing in that, also on the field. So yeah, a team to watch out for.
I think how much is that the wicketkeeper kind of is contrary to all the fitness regimes which other teams take out, right? I mean, he at least he doesn't look ripped, but man, he has power. He's flexible. He's the wicket keeper, which means he has a lot more load than everybody, and he seems to be doing okay.
Reminded me of Dwayne Leverock long ago.
Oh, yeah.
Not a wicket keeper, but still.
Yeah, second slip, that catch of Sachin Tendulkar. Oh my God, yeah.
Robin.
Yeah. Right.
Very good, Tejas.
Yeah, I think it was Robin Uthappa. I don't think Robin will ever forget that catch in the World Cup.
Sorry?
I think it was Robin Uthappa who was dismissed.
Was it Robin?
It was Robin.
For some reason, I always thought it was Sachin's catch, which is why, Dwayne Leverock just went running across the stadium. But anyway.
All auspicious events, Robin Uthappa is there. When we say Rohit Sharma was hitting those 250, Robin Uthappa was there. When we saw in Rajasthan Royals, Rahul Tewatia hit those sixes, Robin Uthappa was there. He is there.
All right, quickly, Tejas, third game for the week.
The third game, I mean, we are in T20 World Cup, and why shouldn't we mention the Calypso Kings themselves, right? They are the most legendary team of T20 internationals, West Indies. I know it's not been going all that great for them. This is uncharted territory for them. Slow wickets, ball gripping, keeping low. These guys are flamboyant cricketers who wants the ball onto the bat, who likes to hit through the line and entertain the crowd. It's not been happening. But I think we saw a different face of West Indies cricket in that match against Bangladesh, because it was not easy. And I also felt this game was a classic old school kind of a game, because the start was slow. There was one guy who was rotating the strike, and there was one person who accelerated, Nicholas Pooran. And in the end, finishing touches were given by Jason Holder, and they reached 140, 143 or something. And then as well, to close out the game, they've gone through a lot of changes in bowling strategies over the years. We've seen slow bouncers, slow balls outside of where the batsman can't reach. But in the end, what Russell showed us was good old Yorker is still the king. Still the best ball to bowl when you're trying to save the match or win the match in the last over. So this was all round a classic old school cricket in a venue which I've grown up watching cricket a lot. Sharjah, UAE surroundings, right? For me, earliest memory of cricket is watching India play Pakistan or Zimbabwe or Australia in Sharjah. So it was old school cricket for me, and I'm happy that West Indies are on the board, because believe it or not, agree it or not, I think West Indies are everyone's second favorite team. So
sorry, good. Finish your thought, Tejas.
No. Yeah. I mean, it just puts a smile on my face when I see West Indies doing well. I know that there is a lot of emotions, and their selection is not on point. But I think when the Calypso Kings, they come together and put up a show for us, I think it puts a smile on everyone's face, and that is probably the end goal of T20 cricket anyway. So that's
yeah. I mean, what I was happy with in that game, and this is a thought which beats me. Okay, Sunrisers Hyderabad, West Indies. Why doesn't anybody see the potential of Jason Holder? My God, Holder. Like that guy can bat, he can bowl, he can field. Like, think about the impact he brought to that game, right? Yeah. He smacked those sixes or fours in the end, got the score higher. That fabulous catch he had at the boundary, and then he's bowling, and he's still not a first choice player.
And he's young.
It just beats me, left, right, and center.
Yeah. I mean, for someone who has taken the responsibility of captaincy at an age of 22, it just speaks volume about his experience and the way he carried himself. I don't know what IPL I can understand, because the foreign players do come at a premium, and you can only play for combinations and all those things might take a problem. But West Indies, man, come on, he's your premier all-rounder. I know, no disrespect to Russell or all those big hitters, but I think Big Jason is the number one all-rounder in all.
Yeah, formats. I mean, I would be surprised if they drop. I hope they don't drop him. Even Roston Chase, for that matter. I know Roston Chase is not your flamboyant player, but at least he'll bowl, he'll bat, he'll give you the overs. He's again one of those all-rounders. I still never understood why they picked. I mean, their team is anyways aging. So, I hope. Yeah, sorry.
For every flamboyant Pollard, Russell, you'd need a Marlon Samuels, right? And that's what Roston Chase brings to the table.
Yeah. I'm still surprised they don't have Shea Hope. They don't have Darren Bravo. It still beats me. All right, gentlemen, we've done the top 3 games for the week. Our dear friend, obviously his phone died, so Sidharth kind of exited the show. We are at the end of the mark. Any last thoughts games you're looking forward this week? Of course, India versus New Zealand. Other than that,
I think South Africa versus England will be very interesting. I don't think England have been tested with quality bowling till now. And I know they've won 3 out of 3, but I still feel they've not been tested. I think the likes of Rabada, Nortje, Shamsi will test them. And if the pitch is a little sticky, if the ball is stopping and coming, I think England will struggle a little bit, and that might eliminate Australia from the group of 10. So yeah, I'm looking forward.
got it. Good. So we will keep a watch on that game. Bidhu, yeah, the game which you're going to look out for this week.
I think today's game between India and New Zealand would be key because you can tell that Afghanistan might pose a threat, but I think Afghanistan lack at least one more player because they are competing well, no doubt about that. But they are not able to close out the games because towards the end, you either see Rashid and Mujib, even Nabi finishing off their overs, or in the batting, they are 15-20 runs short. Even in 2019 World Cup, they did put India under a bit of pressure until Mohammad Shami came in with a hat-trick. The same happened with Sri Lanka. So I don't think Afghanistan posing a threat to New Zealand or India. It all boils down to today's game. And I think it's very, very crucial who, because then it will all be about the run rates, who wins against Scotland and Namibia at what margin.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So I think Pakistan is already having 1 foot in the semi-finals. So it's a one-way contest between India and New Zealand. Everybody would be watching about India's game, be it fans, be it the commercial people, everyone.
Got it. Perfect. Cool. So games two, we are going to be back next week. These are the games which our panelists have picked. I'm sure there'll be some more interesting games, and we will be back next week to review them. Thank you, Bidhu. Thank you, Tejas, for your time. It was a great show reviewing your top 3 games. Look forward to talking to you guys again. Take care. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. One second.
Are you still live?
We are still live.